Hi guys, welcome back. So we've got some teams out for the games at the weekend in round 2 of Six Nations 2020. Let's have a look at the England team. Now, last week after that terrible performance in Paris, an excellent performance by France, Eddie basically said, I'm not going to really make changes based on the performance, which is a ridiculous statement really, and luckily it was ridiculous because clearly he has made changes based on that performance, obviously. There's the team on the side. Thank God he has made some changes. I feel more comfortable about this team. However, it's still not as good as I think they could select, but let's have a look at it. So, in the back three, George Furbank stays at 15. Okay, he had a poor game in France. Simple as. He needs to have a better game. He's a good player, but he really had a bit of a stinker. It can happen, but now he needs to bounce back with a really good performance. So I really hope he goes well. Like I said, he's got talent. It would be a shame if he had 2 really poor performances in a row, then, the pressure's on. They could have gone Thorley on the wing and Daly back to 15, which I thought they might, but he stuck with Furbank. And then the wingers are the same, May and Daly, both I thought were pretty decent, especially May's finishing, of course, was amazing. Hopefully the team can step up and actually score some points as well as just him. In the midfield, stays pretty much the same. Joseph comes in for Tuolangi alongside Farrell. I'm still not sure. It'll probably be Johnson and Jones for Scotland. They're going to have to really pick up their performance, I think. Have they still got much big hitting in that backline? No. They've got loads of kicking, ball movement and speed. But if it's a stodgy affair, who are they going to use to bash holes? Farrell tries his best, but he's a fly half. Jonathan Joseph prefers open spaces rather than going through big spaces, so tight spaces. And Thorley would have been the obvious one there for me, as he's a guy who likes running through traffic. But he's not there. Anyway, Willi Heinz is in at 9, and well, this makes sense because he has been better than Ben Youngs in the World Cup, and when he came on, I thought he was decent as well. However, I still think Ben Spencer is the best scrum half to go for, and maybe Randall on the bench potentially. But anyway, I think he deserves the start. And in the front row, Mako comes straight back in. I imagine he was carrying a knock or something. So you've got Mako, George, Sinclair, which is your, typically your best front row for England. Certainly skill-wise, ball carrying, etc. Is it the best scrummaging front row we've got? Probably not. And Scotland scrummaged incredibly well last week, so they'll fancy their chances there. So in the scrum, they need to hold their own. Second row, Itoje and Cruz. It's the best second row. We said it before the France match, but he didn't play Cruz alongside Itoje. He played Yules, who actually drops out completely. And this isn't a surprise to me in a way, because I thought he played okay, but he's not quite at that level yet, I don't think. Now, back row. Changes made. Courtney Lords goes out, and he actually brings in a proper back row. Fine. So we've got Ludlam, Underhill and Curry. 3 amazing flankers, got amazing talent. They're going to be just phenomenal, I think, for the next few years for England, but still no number 8. So we've got a trade-off. I'm very excited to see these 3 guys play, but none of them are big ball carriers. Ludlam loves to carry through traffic, but he's not huge. Underhill and Curry's carrying has certainly come on, but they're going to have to go some to get over the gain line, this whole England pack. Mako will help coming back there. Cruz will help coming back there. So if those guys can get over the gain line, then these 3 amazing flankers could cause havoc, which is what I'm hoping. Anyway, let me know what you think there. I'm certainly more excited to see this back row than last week's back row. Into the finishers, he calls them, but the subs, if you like. Tom Dunn in for Cowan Dickey. That's a bit weird, unless Cowan Dickey's carrying an injury. Let me know if you know the inside info there. Genge and Stewart again on the bench. Thought they did well when they came on, especially Genge. What an impact he can bring. And they've got this 6-2 split. This split made famous, if you like, by the South African World Cup winning team of last year. England can do it because they've got Farrell playing 12, who can obviously move to 10, and they've got Devoto. He is actually very skillful and very versatile if they need to shuffle people around. They've got another fullback there in Daly, etc. So they can do it. They've got the personnel. And like South Africa, they're bringing in 2 second rows onto the bench, Launchbury and Laws. So we've got the 4 best second rows available to England in this squad, which is, basically a compliment to Scotland, how much they've improved up front. So they could change their entire second row if they wanted, or they could slot Laws into the back row, of course, but I'm not so sure. Ben Earl's there if needed at 8, or maybe, and he could go anywhere in the back row anyway, so he's almost a like for like for any of those 3 young back rowers starting. Youngs goes to the bench along with Devoto, who I really want to see run at 12. He might well come on at 13. I hope he doesn't. I want him to go to 12 and either Ford or Farrell play 10 and see how that goes. Anyway, I'm more excited to see this team against Scotland. I still think it's going to be a tight game. Let me know what you guys think of this England team. And hot on the heels of the Wales team, we have the Scottish team. So again, I haven't had any prep on this, so let's just have a look through. Hogg maintains as captain at fullback. He'll be desperate to make up for his big drop in that game last week. Maitland, Jones and Johnson, so it's the same midfield. Kinghorn, same back 3. Sticking with Hastings. Is Weir on the bench? No. Staying with Hutchinson, probably as maybe the 10 cover, or Kinghorn as the 10 cover. Price starting at 9 still. George Horn staying as a replacement 9. Hope to see a little bit more of George Horn. I really think he could be a starter in the future for Scotland. Into the forwards, yes, makes sense. They're keeping the same front row. Sutherland, Brown, Fagerson, who looked so solid in that scrum last week. Can they give England a torrid time in the scrum with the big Cummings behind and Gray? That's a big front 5, and they will take England head on. Can they win that scrum battle? Let me know what you think. And then Richie Watson and Bradbury. Wow, Bradbury is back fit. This is their best back row, and it looks like their best pack they could possibly bring out. Of course, you'd prefer Finn Russell in there, but barring that, this is the best team I think Scotland could put out. Maybe Hutchinson starting, but that's still not proven. Impact from McInally, Dale Bergen. Toulis, Haining drops to the bench. He had a good game, but Bradbury I just think is that more vicious in the carry. And then George Horn, Hutchinson and Harris are the 2 centres on the bench. It's actually one of the best Scottish teams I've seen for a long, long time. And on the back of a good performance in Ireland, and obviously England on the back of a poor performance, can this team beat England? Yes, they can, but I think the England team's slightly better as well. I'd still probably favour England slightly, but I don't know. Scottish fans, let me know what you think. Is it going to happen? Scotland beating England? This team has a great chance of doing it. I really, really like it. We've got the Ireland team for Ireland versus Wales. So Ireland at home, huge crunch match versus Wales. The big question for me is, will we see more of the new game plan rather than the actual team itself? Or is it going to be more of the solid grit that we saw last week, which is great, but I think the fans are crying out for a little bit of a difference from Smith's game plan. Although we are hearing signs that the team is enjoying training a bit more, that culture of fear is gone a little bit, so that's cool. Anyway, looking at the team, Lama retains at 15. The Addison debate still goes on, but Lama is very exciting to watch. Stockdale and Conway carrying on in the back 3 in the wings. Henshaw slots in for Ringrose. A good sub, a really good substitution in there. I think this is Henshaw who's finally fully fit and ready to go. Let's judge him now as he is rather than, when he was coming back from injury, if you like. I generally think he could play really well. Bundyaki at 12 is centre partner. Sexton and Murray again. I still think Cooney's the best player. I thought he looked good when he came on. I hope he gets plenty of time, but I'm not sure he will, to be honest. So let me know if you agree with that. Same front row carry on. Herring's got a big chance to cement down his number 1 spot, and I want to see plenty of Kelleher, a bit more Kelleher this time. Again, against Wales, if it's tight, maybe we won't. But yeah, Herring, big chance. Henderson, Ryan go again with Toner off the bench. It looks pretty settled. And the originals go back to the back row. Hermione, Van der Fleer, Stander, the World Cup back row, a chance to redeem themselves. Stander had a good carrying game from 6 last game and then to 8. But can he carry on with his carrying game? I hope he can. So big chance for those guys, especially Hermione and Stander, to say, no, we're still absolutely good enough. On the bench, no massive changes, but Deegan coming in. Obviously, Doris is out with his concussion protocol, which is a massive shame, but he's another Leinster guy who's really shown he has high quality in the back row, maybe slotting in at 8, we'll see. Cooney and Byrne, like before, and Keith Earls comes back in. I think he was carrying a knock anyway last week. Can he fight his way back into the team, because his starting place is now not as short? Anyway, let me know if you think is that the best team that Ireland can put out. I think possibly, with the exception of Cooney starting, maybe it probably is. Maybe you'd have started Deegan straight in at 8 for Doris getting injured. Anyway, let me know what you think of that team and how you think the game will go. Okay, hold the press. I've got the Wales team here. Haven't had time to look through it properly, but I'm just going to do it as we go. See what I think here. Anyway, Lee Halfpenny staying at 15. He had a good game. Looking through, no Liam Williams. That makes sense then. Halfpenny stays. It's fine. Big George North. Looks like he's back on the wing. Makes so much sense. And yes, fantastic. Nick Tompkins is inside him at 13. What a great chance for him. Brilliant match against Italy. Can he back it up going up a level against Ireland in Ireland? Then Hadley Parks is inside. He had a really solid skills game last week. Kicking and passing was brilliant. Can he feed those danger men outside? Talking of danger men, obviously Josh Adams stays, who is the #1 winger for Wales at the moment. Can he score again? Thomas Williams continues at scrum half, which is great. Thought he played really well. Dan Bigger at 10. Obviously had a great game. So that back line looks great to me. Much more balanced. Fit and firing on the bench. Owen Williams is on the bench. Interesting. Gareth Davis always is on the bench instead of Rhys Webb. I imagine that's just a swap of personnel. Rhys Webb did make a fair few mistakes last week, even though I thought he looked sharp, sharp physically. Owen Williams, where will he slot in? I want to see him at 12. But obviously he's covering 10 as well. And Johnny McNichol retains his spot on the bench, retains his spot in the 23, and I thought he played really well last week as well. So that's good. I like that backline a lot. Very happy. Let me know if you make any different changes. Okay, up front, Jones and Lewis retain their propping starts. Wasn't too sure about them about the park, but they're good scrummagers, so maybe they think that's what they need. Ken Owens obviously stays in between them. Big Jake Ball and Alwyn Jones in the second row, probably their beefiest second row. So again, away from home against Ireland, it's a beefy, strong scrummaging front 5. And in the back right, obviously, Wainwright, Tipperick and Falatau, they were majestic last week. It's a great team. It's a better team, I think, than the one faced Italy, plus they've had their warm-up. If Wales are going to get this win away from home, this is a great team to do it. I think it's going to be such a close game. I sat on the fence and predicted a draw in the predictions video, and it could be a draw, but let me know who you think edges it. On the bench, Elias, Rhys Carey, excellent back in. He could push for a start. In fact, I think he will be starting soon for Wales. Leon Brown as well. Beard in onto the bench instead of Hill. I wonder if Hill's okay. Let me know if you know. Then big hitting Ross Moriarty as their impact back row. Great team. Really like it. I like the Irish team. It should be a fantastic game. Can't wait for it. Let me know what you think of the teams. And until next time, I'll see you then.